Nyonji Jimbo to Denik Mika on the Molam Jimbo of Jada, Bakardan and the Yermado, Tumba Tuji Janla Kishan, Showman Shuji, Anji Podana, Dism Sanji Ginjingo, and Yer on some jerking on some Tunzit, Savelaman online Guisha, Good morning, welcome to the class. All right. Thinking about Buddhist teaching, as you know, myself, I'm a Buddhist practitioner, and I am a student of Buddha. So when I study and when I practice the Dharma, no matter when I am learning something new from the teachings of Buddha, from my practice, meditation. So therefore, it is really directly benefit and very much useful in my life. My point of view. Because I think the teachings of Dharma is talking about whenever I study and practice myself, these teachings, it's about myself. And also I understand that the teachings of Buddha talking about the truth, talking about the genuine things. So the genuine Dharma is actually free from conceptual and dualistic. And it is free from disturbing emotions. That is the ultimate truth. That is the genuine the teachings of Buddha. But generally, we have two truths, both the relative truth and ultimate truth. These two truths are equally important in our life. And generally, they both truths are correct. So therefore, we call both of these truths, right? Two truths. The relative point of view, the Buddha talks really what is correct and what is not correct. Because we had to know that what is different between right and wrong. In this case, the correct and right means that something that brings us genuine happiness. That's what we call correct. And incorrect things are also, we can say truth, but in the relative perspective, something is kind of negative things. So therefore, it brings us a lot of unhappiness and, suffering. So that's why it's incorrect. And usually things are not always right and correct, and things are not always wrong. But sometimes we just don't know which is correct and which is not. For example, if if I enter into a very sort of beautiful place, and it has a sort of full of different flowers, trees, um, everything. But I don't know all of them, if they're correct or useful, uh, because for example, some flowers, some trees, and plants, are incorrect because if they are sort of mixed with poisonous, right? If for example, if incorrect flowers and trees, if I touch them, and then sometimes immediately cause problems and died. Um, some are very positive, right? It's medicine, uh, and some are very negative. So that's why, in the relative point of view, uh, it is very important to know between what is right, what is wrong, because right causes us happiness, wrong brings us lots of unhappiness. So therefore, we have to sort of distinguish, what's right and what is wrong, Sometimes, I am concerned that how and what way we can really to study, to practice the Dharma correct way and properly, uh, because we understand Dharma, we understand the teachings, and also we know how to practice the teachings. Most people understand very well, but sometimes our daily sort of activities and our actions, our physical action, our verbal action, our mental action lots of, right? Sometimes these actions opposite of what we understand about Dharma, In Tibet, we say that hiendut laglin jamgar, which means hiendut, like, for example, um, um, I sort of, what do you call it? Hiendut is actually desire, sort of, innermost wish. Um, and Jamgar means opposite, So what actually, which means one's innermost wish and what one actually does is opposite, or sometimes we call contradict, For example, we want to find happiness, right? Uh, but we actually harm ourselves sometimes. So that's this kind of, um, most people understand how to practice, they know the teachings put into their practice, but they don't practice. Then Dharma, the teachings, and you, myself, there's so, big sort of gap between, teaching and myself, not connection, there. Then doesn't really help a lot. So that's why sometimes it's, we know, but we're not doing what we understand. Instead, we do oppositely, So something is not correct and harm, you and myself, then we should not do it, and we don't have to do it, So therefore, if, we given up these sort of incorrect things, like, 10 non-virtuous, and all these sort of other, our negative, emotions, negativities, if we can given up these things, it is not necessarily we have to do these things the religious way, but do these things in proper and correct way. And if we can to stop all these negativities, negative actions, negative thoughts, negative karma, all of these things, then, definitely we can make the perfect and wonderful human being, no doubt. And not only that, we can find sort of everlasting happiness. Absolutely, no doubt. And then really sort of everybody will respect this person. Everybody will take in refuge actually, in, this kind of person, because the way of this kind of person talk, like verbally, very helpful, right? Mentally, the way of this person's thinking is very pure and helpful. So therefore, if we practice the Dharma and properly and correctly, not, wrongly, it is absolutely good for us. So through that, the development of everything, each and every moment getting better and better, So therefore, Buddhist teachings talk about really nothing other than ourselves. For example, on my experience about Buddhism, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, practice Buddhism, study Buddhism so long, so I have some experience. So through Buddha's teachings, I can understand myself very clearly, and it brings me confident. That is, I think, most important to understand. Through practice Buddhism and study, I can get this confidence. And then how can do sort of control myself, how to open my mind. It changed my life, absolutely. And through the Buddha's teachings, I can accept all the situation, whatever they're good or bad, and I can be very tolerant person. When the bad situation sort of arise, I can accept it quite easily because of Buddha's teachings. because of my understanding and my practice. Even though, my practice is kind of very slow, but that's okay as long as I am part of the teaching. I'm on the path. So I always, very much appreciate Buddha's teaching. I can't imagine, my life without Buddha's teaching, because I am very much rely on Buddha's teaching in order to develop my dualistic mind, in order to develop my conduct, all of that, my realization, and the receive my happiness. Every single happiness that I ever experience comes to me through the kindness of Buddha's teaching. Absolutely, no doubt it. Nothing other than that. And that's why I respect him very much. I have a devotion, I have a faith very much. That's why I'm taking refuge in the Buddha every single day, every morning, because I know that he is the only one I need. Sometimes people say that, oh, how it is important to practice bodhicitta. Have a compassion mind. Have a capacity to help others. How important. I heard many times from other people when they have a good situation, when they're happy. But sometimes not good situation arise, and then sometimes people don't care, Dharma brothers and sisters. Sometimes people don't care their teachers and instructions and teachings. They're doing opposite. When they have a good situation, they're very happy. They can think about the teachings, the relationship between Dharma brothers and sisters. When they have a difficult situation, they're giving up everything. That's not how Buddhist practitioners conduct motivation. Dharma is, especially when you have a difficult situation, you have to think about it and remember and apply and practice. Some people are opposite of that. They have a difficult situation. They're more be sort of tolerant, compassionate, passionate. I can see the benefit of their practice. Makes me happy. So the benefit of Buddha's teachings, the benefit of our meditation, the result of our meditation is whether or not some change in our mind. Investigate ourselves, whether or not be tolerant person, be compassionate person. The other things like how much the renunciation you have, how much the compassion devotion, faith. These are the result of our meditation, especially for who are practice sort of, recently and for beginners. People sometimes have huge sort of, expectation. When they practice Buddhism, they expect, experience of bliss and emptiness, want to understand and see future situation. That's totally wrong. That is not the result of meditation. The result of meditation is when you have a difficult situation. At that point, you can see how much your meditation helps. If you can control and be tolerant, be compassionate, you have lots of free and empty rooms. If you have a difficult situation, then your meditation is absolutely wonderful and beneficial. You and others benefit, When you have a difficult situation, you forget everything about Buddhist teachings, about the relationship that you have, Dharma brothers, sisters, your teachers. Then you get nothing. Waste your time. Doesn't matter you have a bliss experience. You have a clarity of your meditation. Useless. So therefore, it's so important to understand what is right and what is wrong, what is correct way to and skillful way to practice Buddhism. If we practice Buddhism properly, correctly, absolutely benefit, good for our life. So therefore, I appreciate Buddha's teachings. And I also very much appreciate that the nature of these things, the nature of, relative realities are very changeable. It is so wonderful. They are not permanent at all. So that I can change my negative things into positive, into good way. Because I have a confidence that I can change. There is nothing permanent. Through Buddha's teachings, I can understand the correct, the right, and these all phenomena, appearance are changeable. That's another very wonderful thing. And the other good thing is that Buddha said that nobody owns the Dharma, the teachings of Buddhas. It is totally free. And it is not belong to anybody. So we can use it, right? We can keep it if you want. But it depends on our effort, our diligence. If we understand Buddhism, the teachings of Buddha, very, very nice. It's also helpful. But if we don't practice, then doesn't matter it is free or not. It's not really useful. So all the people, include myself, we all very much believe that our happiness and our suffering come from the material things. If that's the case, then we have to think that why we have spiritual path and why we need it. But I think the genuine happiness is really sort of quite difficult to find from the material things. The material things bring us the temporary happiness, for sure, definitely, absolutely. So it is important. But I don't believe that it brings the genuine happiness at all. So therefore, I'm actually, I'm not very hungry for the material things, in my life. Maybe, because of I didn't have so many things in my life. So I don't have the habit, That's why. Maybe, my practice, because of, for example, I always think that, if my happiness, I want happiness, I don't want suffering, for sure. If my happiness is rely on the material things, and my happiness come from material things, then I think my happiness very sort of poor quality of happiness. And my happiness always not enough then, because, it doesn't truly satisfy my happiness, and free sort of myself from my problems, So therefore, Dharma practice can bring everlasting happiness into my mind, into my life. So therefore, I believe that Dharma is not like material things. Absolutely, it is necessary to have things. Without material things, of course, also we get suffering. But that happiness is, I think, just a temporary happiness. But Dharma can help our mental suffering. So if I study and practice Buddha's teachings, then I can easily discover what is right, what is wrong, And the ultimate point of view, and when we approach at that point, then there is a no right and no wrong. There is a no positive and no negative. Remember in Hatsta? It says, no source of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. All these are ultimate point of view. There's no positive and no negative, no right and no wrong, you know. We can accept everything in that level, you know. And at that time, everything is spontaneous, you know. The ultimate perspective, the positive doesn't make things better. The negative doesn't make things worse and doesn't harm at all. Ultimate perspective. But until then, we have to follow and we have to rely on the relative realities. And it is very important and make sure that we don't lose our conduct and view. It is important to put Dharma into practice in a very skillful way. And with this kind of understanding of the correct view of practice, what is right, what is wrong. Because the nature of view is beyond, right? Beyond right and wrong, beyond positive and negative. But we can't accept that situation with our ordinary experience and our dualistic mind without that realization. We have to rely on truth, the relative truth, relative realities. In this case, if we follow the Buddha's teaching and if we develop our qualities, then, you know, maybe one day there is a chance that we can accept everything and make our mind totally free. And we can make sort of liberate ourselves and we can do so many things to benefit for other sentient beings. But right now, we have not much that capacity. So we need to improve ourselves first and practice correctly. As I mentioned all the time, that we are sometimes very happy, sometimes very unhappy, always up and down. So therefore, we're not stable. We're not same person all the time, up and down. So therefore, we never know when the happiness, when the suffering arise and happen to us. So therefore, we need to be ready for sort of accept and be tolerant when this kind of circumstance come out. That's Buddhist practitioners' plan, you know. It's so important. We can't believe that someone who is very good position, happiness, and they talk about Buddhism. Oh, it's so wonderful. I have a compassion. I can be tolerant. Oh yeah, I can see this person suffering. Oh my goodness. But then we see if you have a difficult situation, still you can handle, still you can accept, be tolerant. Absolutely, you are genuine Dharma practitioner. So whenever, for example, I have this kind of situation, As myself, of course, sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy because of the situation. And if I remember Buddha's teaching, if I have some sort of realizations of the Buddha's teaching, and if I can put these instructions into my mind, it helps me very much. Easily sort of control this situation. I can easily let go the situation if I remember my practice at that case. It helps me very, very much. I can easily relax, and I can easily to control, and I can easily to understand my negative emotions, my problems. People have a problem, always blame others, not myself. Myself always correct. I have this problem because of you, because of these things. Absolutely not right, wrong. I have this problem because of my mind, because of my conduct, my actions. So therefore, I have to control my mind rather than control others. Absolutely. So therefore, I have to be calm down, relax, think about my situation rather than think about others. So that's why, Buddha's teachings very, very helpful in my life. Maybe not everybody, but if I'm talking on my experience, because that's nice, because, I spent so many years with teachings of Buddha, practicing meditation. I'm still just an ordinary person, has lots of negative emotions. I'm working on it. And, that's why, still I spend my time, whole life, only Buddha's teachings. That's my goal since when I was 7 years old until now. But still here with lots of negative emotions. So that's why my meditation is very slow. But I can see the benefit of teachings of Buddha. I have lots of devotion, faith, so I think my meditation is not improperly and wrongly. I think it's so helpful in my life, my mind. I can live without anything, but I cannot live without teachings of Buddha. That's for sure. So the second thing is everything is changeable. We have to recognize that. Impermanence. End of gathering is separation. End of birth is death. Everything is changeable. For example, the ordinary point of view, like myself, one day I have to go and I leave everything behind. And at that time, I will lose everything. So it is time to think how I can accept that situation and how I can, let go my desires, my attachment, my negative emotions, and how can I make up perfect relationship between this life and my future life. How I can make the connection, which is about good what do you call karmic connection. So if I enjoy this life without negative emotions, then I will lose nothing. Instead, I will very happy to leave everything behind. And I have a good karmic connection, to my future life. So I will lose nothing. But if we don't have that, then we will lose everything. We were not ready to go because of our attachment, our negative emotions. I always think that how wonderful if we live in this world and enjoy every single day and without attachment. That's actually Buddhist practitioners looking for. People are misunderstood very much. Without attachment, when we say without attachment, that means no love with a family. People misunderstand. Without attachment is not love. Attachment is the root of suffering. Love and kindness and compassion is the root of happiness. People misunderstand these things. So that's why every day, every single day, each and every moment, enjoy our life with our family, with our friends, Dharma brothers, sisters, without attachment. That's what we need. If you have that, that's a result of your meditation. That's so important. I don't care, for example, if you have a experience of bliss, experience of non-conceptual thoughts, experience of, this great, the union of emptiness and appearance. I don't care. But if you have tolerant, compassionate, control your mind, wonderful. I think that's what we want, especially this time. So I think it's very important to distinguish between what is necessary and what is not necessary right now. And need to understand difference between the relative point of view and ultimate point of view. And need to understand where we are now. We are very much rely on the relative truth. So we need these things, the qualities of our mind. We have lots of problems all the time, I think because we lack of the tolerant, compassion, passion, no faith, no devotion. Then I think very difficult to control the situation. Okay, what else? That's enough. Don't talk lots of negative. So meditate few minutes. uh, Maybe it is helpful if you think a little bit about your desires, your attachment. For example, what kind of things that you really have a strong desire and strong attached to it. I mean, have to think that how could you let it go? I mean, just not let it go, but let it go very happily, without harm yourself. For example, I attached to these things, and how can I let it go without sort of harm myself? I can keep it beautiful. I can see the benefit. I can keep it, enjoy with it, right? But without attachment. Do you understand what I mean? I can use it. This hot sutra, beautiful teaching, essence of Buddha's teaching. I can use this, right? But no attachment. So I don't know. Maybe you should think a little bit. For example, myself, if I'm going to die tomorrow, what is the main problem that I can't let it go? What I'm concerned, what my desire? Likewise, you. If, who knows, if you're going to die tomorrow, what's your problem? Are you ready? Are you accept that? Can you accept? Oh, I'm ready. If I'm going to die tomorrow, I'm fine, happily. I did practice my life as much as I could. I have no capacity to help others a lot, but I have a pure motivation. I practice meditation, even though my meditation is very slow, but I have some kind of realizations, experience. Do you have that kind of things? Then I think you can accept, even though I'm going to die pretty soon, tomorrow, but I'm okay with it. If you are not okay, then you are attached to something. You can't let it go. That's sort of, what do you call it, binding you in this samsara. And then you have no perfect relationship, your future life. You are taking that attachment to another life, into another life. That's not good. My teachers always say that I'm ready. Whenever I die, I'm very happy. There's no regret. If I'm not die, very nice. I can still help as much as I can. If I die, it's fine. Either way, they're very happy. Isn't that wonderful? No suffering, no desires, no attachment. Whatever you have, you can keep it. No problem. Enjoy your property, your things. Enjoy, but no attachment. If you enjoy, makes you happy. No attachment, you can easily let it go. So I don't know these things good or not. If you think that's important, you should investigate yourself, Other than that, just relax and, practice with your breath. Few times, very gently, breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in just to relax. Enter more sort of deeply into your mind. Try to look at your nature mind. Meditate on it right there. Just to stay right there with its characters. You can do this very short because it doesn't stay long. So you have to do again, over again. Do many times, frequently. That's that Master says. So you don't have to do anything. There is no visualizations. There is no thoughts, no stop, nothing. Just relax and look into it. Meditate on that as much as you can. 15 minutes.